Brilliant, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. So hopefully the other thing everybody can confirm is that they can actually see my screen here, which is showing the Papertrail webinar account. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to make a start. And the first thing we're going to look at is starred folders. This is one of those features that does have the occasion to trip people up a little bit, just because the way that we use starred folders is it helps you to narrow down the noise in your account. By that, I mean, you can literally change things so that while you can see the folders, you might not get all of the notifications for everything. So for instance, if we're looking here, I'm in my folders and everything is starred. If I go into my lifting equipment, I can see that chains and slings and shackles and hooks folders are not starred. Those folders, while I may need to see the information in them, it may be that I'm not actually responsible for them. So I don't want to see the notifications. I don't want to know that inspections are due or overdue. So I have simply unstarred those folders. And it's really easy to unstar a folder. Simply click into it, use the drop down arrow and select unstar. And it's as simple as that. And you can even filter between viewing starred folders and not viewing starred folders just by clicking on the starred button here. So I've removed the unstarred folders, so now I can no longer see them, or I can remove that filter. And then if I just click back, everything is now visible again. There we go. Always takes a minute when I'm on Teams sharing my screen. Bear with me. There we go. So everything should be back there. Please be there this time. There we go. So it's as simple as that for starred folders. That's how we can reduce the noise and just stop hearing all of the notifications for things that, well, like I say, we need to see them. We aren't actually accountable for them, and we don't need to hear the constant noise of the account. We're going to be working through this blue line here. So the next icon is our Partner Hub shared icon. What this allows us to do is view and see the records that have been shared with us or shared by us with our partners. There was a whole webinar about Partner Hub recently, so if anybody would like more information about that, please do let us know in the chat and we can make sure you get the recording after today. Partner Hub allows customers and suppliers to share records so that there is a single source of truth for every asset that you have. So whether that is you've bought it from a supplier and they have given you the asset, the physical asset, you then have the record, which means that you don't need to do the manual entry for that item. And in the same way, you can share your assets with a supplier or with a customer so that you're working off the same data. And this button here just allows you to filter those items should you need to. Okay. So next, we're going to look into our folders, and using within our folders, we're going to look at the columns. So at the moment, I'm in my view and I'm looking at these particular columns at this point. I'm going to click the columns icon here. So just under the search bar and next to the Partner Hub handshake, I'm going to click the columns button. And from here, I can choose which columns I see. So if I want to see date for retirement, I'm going to click date for retirement. I can now see that within my view. If I decide to remove it and remove date first use and click out, there we go. That instantly reduces all of the data that I need to see. What people aren't always aware of, if you wanted to create a PDF of this document, the columns that you have visible on the screen are the columns that will pull through. So if you are going to create a report now, I click the drop down arrow, print and export the folder, and I'm going to open my report. And what you'll see in the report is just the data that is included on my screen. So exactly what I have in my screen is available within the report. If I wanted the date of retirement, simply select the column. It will then appear in my PDF the next time I produce it. So it's a really useful way of creating a report, whether it's for a customer or a team member, but we've drilled in just the specific data that they need. So it doesn't matter how much fields or how much information you have on that record, they will only see the fields that you need to give them access to. So I'm just going to close that for that. And there we go. The next icon is for sorting. So what this allows us to do is we can sort how we view our records. So at the moment, my records are sorted by name in ascending order. What I can do is add any of the columns that I have in my open view to this. So I could add next check instead and then click that. That will show them in the order of the name, which is in ascending order, followed by next check. Alternatively, I can remove that simply by clicking the cross, and I'm going to change it to manufacturer. So I can now see them in manufacturer order. If I want manufacturer as my top sorting option, I'm simply going to move them over, and now these are sorted by manufacturer in ascending order. What this doesn't do is change the column order. So they will always appear image, name, manufacturer, for instance, but the records themselves are sorted by this order. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. From here, we can also amend our folders. We can sort our folders. So if I just go back to folders now, my current view is by name and in ascending order. So again, I can put them into descending order, which then puts them this way, and my subfolders appear in the same way using the descending alphabetical system. I can change it back to ascending, which again changes those back, changes the subfolders. Position, I can use, for instance, this is often used by customers who have staff that work at different levels. So they may want to arrange records for a particular group of people where they have the senior, most senior person at the top, followed by all the different levels. We do see it for some customers. It's what works for you. It just gives you both options. Okay. Next on our list, as we work through, we've got the two options. We've got folder view and record view. So folder view is, as you see it, by standard. Record view allows you to cut through all the folders and see all of the records. So at the moment in this account, I've got 212 records. I've now got access to all 212 records in one screen, and they're just paginated. And this works across the subfolders. So if, for instance, I'm in lifting equipment and I just want to see record view of those, that then just gives me the 55 records that are in lifting equipment. Hopefully this is all making sense so far. Perfect. So switching back to record view, I'm just going to pop into a record. This is something that's quite often missed within the system. Within the filter activity here, for records that do have a huge amount of activity, so it may be an item that's been with you for a long time, if it's a vehicle or a piece of equipment like a ladder, for instance, it's been with you for a long time, it's had a high number of inspections and a high number of certificates on there. What activity filtering allows you to do is to dig into that data. So simply by selecting the all activity, you can choose whether you see just the certificates, just the notes, the tasks, or the inspections. On this particular item, I've got nothing, but if I just click out of there now and show all activity, if I now add a note that says, if I could type, it would be good, testing, click save, there we go. I can now filter on notes, and that simply shows me that one note. So massively useful when it comes to a record that has got a lot of activity history going on that you can drill in. It also works with certificates really, really well, because I know that can be, something that's harder to drill into or harder to find. By simply filtering by certificates, you can go straight to the date that you're looking for, which makes life a lot easier. Okay, hopefully everybody's keeping up, and hopefully everybody's learned something slightly new that you've not known before, or something that you maybe weren't quite sure how to do. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move from this blue line into this section here, and we're going to look at collections. So collections allows you to solve bulk actions where your records are spread across multiple folders. So for instance, while record view just flattens the branch, it still makes it harder to bulk edit records from the different folders. But what collections allows you to do is temporarily or virtually take the records out of their folders, put them into a holding area, edit them, add inspections, do whatever you need, and then move them back to their originating folders. So I'm just going to quickly show you that. So to add a collection, I'm going to simply click into a folder, click my 2 assets, use the drop down and click add to collection. I'm going to go back to my folders. I'm going to go into lifting equipment and do the same thing here in lifting beams. Add to collection, and then back to folders, back into height safety, and I'm going to choose some ropes. And we'll just do another one of ascenders. There we go. Add to collection. Perfect. So I've added about eight items there. The sharp item menu will have seen the little red dot appear here on my virtual clipboard. So that tells me I have some items in my collection. Always worth noting if you're going to start a new collection, just to make sure that you have emptied it at the end, but I will show you how to do that now. So I'm going to click into my clipboard and I can see my items. So from here, I can select all by using the box next to image. And I can do all my usual functionality that I can do within the folders and when I'm bulk editing records in any other way. I'm going to use my drop down. I can edit. I can tag. I can choose a new tag. I can replace existing tags. Whatever I need to do, I can do that from here. So they're all from their individual folders, which I can still see the breadcrumb trail. So I can see these are height, safety, and rope. I can see these are from the other, etc., etc. But they're in this virtual holding area for a collection. Once I'm happy that I've done what I need to do, I can also create a report from here, just so you're aware. I can print and export and create a PDF. So for instance, if I was creating a list of equipment that I wanted to compile for a team member who was going out to a specific site, I can create a collection for him of the equipment that he needs to take, and then I can do my print and export from here. Okay, so in this instance, I'm just going to remove my items from the collection. That pops them straight back into their folders without any movement whatsoever. So I've been able to take them out of their folders, put them into a virtual space, edit them, tag them, create a report from them, and share that report and do everything I need from my collections. Really, really useful way to just compile and pull all those assets out into one safe space. So I'm going to go back into our folders, and we're now going to look at tagging records. So our tags here are virtual tags. So adding a tag is really simple. We simply go into the record itself and we can add a tag from here or from the edit, as I've just shown you in collections. I can also create a new tag, and it's as simple as that, adds that to that record. To remove a tag, it's simply click on the cross next to it. The other great thing with tags is if I want to see other items that have also got that same tag, I can simply click onto the tag, and that's taken me to all of the items that are in van 11. I can see that in folder view. So I can see I've got 6 in lifting equipment, 3 in height safety, and 1 in the other folder. And I can just simply click by that by looking at my tag. The other way to search for tags is simply by using the dashboard search function. So I'm looking at tags, I'm looking at van 11, and those are my searches. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to remove my tags. Always check what you've got available in here, because if you've got a filter applied or if you've got tags applied, it can skew your data, and sometimes it's hard to see the wood for the trees if you're looking for records that you can't find but you know are on the system. Usually it's just because there's a filter or a tag applied. In terms of next steps, we're going to look at adding inspections. So I know this is pretty simple stuff to most of you. You will all have used the system, but just to clarify, you can add inspections to individual items simply by clicking into the record and then clicking add inspection. On this record, we've got a Lola checklist. I would complete my checklist, amend my state, add any comments. I can create a task and I would click save. The other way I can do this is by doing multiple inspections. So I'm going to select my select all button, and I'm going to click add 12 inspections. So again, I've got my Lola checklist. This time I'm going to complete it. I'm going to select B. It's an interval of 6 months. I'm going to say on this one, no defects found. Yes, I did thorough testing, and I'm going to add a comment. In this instance, I'm just going to put full testing and click save. And I'm going to say 6 months for my next inspection date. With these, I can then copy down this inspection. So if I'm happy that everything in this folder, in this particular bulk inspection list, is in the same condition and has passed the same checks, I'm going to click the drop down. That copies down all of my responses to the following checks. Okay, so when I scroll through, I've got all of my other records within these within this bulk inspection, and they have all now been selected. That doesn't mean I'm stuck with the answers. I can still go in and edit a record. So if I'm scrolling through and I want to edit this one, I can do so. Or if I know there was a particular asset that needs changing, I can literally click into jump to record, and I can choose the record that I want to edit the inspection on. So in this instance, I'm going to edit my helmet visor. That's gone straight to the record. And I'm going to say on this instance, minor defect. I can add a comment. There we go. Minor defect found. Click save. And then I'm going to scroll through. I'm happy with the rest of the responses, and I'm going to click save 12 inspections. So it's as simple as that. The copy down is really useful because it just saves you a lot of time if you're happy that everything has the same response, but you can still go in and edit any single inspection, even if you've used the copy down. You can change the state, you can add a task. Anything you can do on one record, you can do on the others. Just because you've used the copy down doesn't make any difference. Okay. So what we've got next is we've got our follow-on actions. So we've saved our inspections. What do we do with these 12 records next? So essentially, by clicking the drop-down arrow, we can do anything that's listed here. We can print and export, we can add identifiers, and we can edit and we can tag. For the purposes of this, I'm going to click print and export, and I'm going to go to my certificates export, and I'm going to create a Lola certificate. Once you've completed these boxes the first time, they will automatically populate for you when you log in. And it's as simple as that. I'm then going to click open, and we'll be able to see our certificate. So that's our Lola certificate reduced to a minimum number of clicks, multiple inspection, follow on box, actions, create certificate. Really simple, really straightforward. Okay. So I'm just going to close this now. So within our inspections, we saw the word tasks. So Task Manager and our tasks within the system helps us to close the loop. It records the corrective and preventative actions that we need against either the record or the inspection itself. So we've got multiple ways of doing it. So for instance, if I wasn't inspecting this because it's on a yearly inspection, but I came across this anchor strop and I realized that there was a defect on it, I can create a task on the record. So if I didn't want to add an inspection because I don't want to impact the yearly inspection frequency because it's a minor defect, I don't want to skew the process, I just want to alert somebody that it needs some sort of service, I can create a task from here, give it a title. I can give as much or as little information here as I need. I can ask it for it to be done by a certain deadline. So for instance, if I know this needs to be out on a job on Monday the 24th, I might say, well, I need it done by Friday the 21st. I can add and remove assignees. So anyone who within the account has access to this record and to this folder can be added as an assignee. So if I added myself and click close, I can then add myself as an assignee. When I create the task, I will then get an email alerting me to the fact that there is a task created. The task will have a link to the record and to the task, and I can navigate to it there. The other way to create a task is within the inspection itself. So if I go back into creating an inspection, if, for instance, let's say this is back to B, and I say, actually now it has got a minor defect, and I click the comments, I can create my task from here. So in exactly the same way as I did previously, it's now asking me to specify the defect. I can give the description, I can still give the deadline, and I can still add and remove the assignees. So as we say, it's closing the loop. We've identified that there's an issue. We're closing the loop to say this now needs to be done for corrective or preventative actions for the next steps. And it's as simple as that. Obviously, within inspections, I've got add file here because I'm on the web app, so I can add an image to back up the issue that I've discovered, or I can also, on the mobile app, I'll have a camera, I can then take a photo. Because it's on the mobile app, it will take it immediately and upload it straight to the cloud. It's not stored in the individual's camera roll, because I know that can be an issue with people who are using their own personal phones, and they don't want to be flooded with work images, so they can actually just upload straight within the app. Click save, and that would be done and dusted. And again, there is the final way to create a task. So if an item had quite a huge list of checklists and there were a number of aspects that needed repairs or needed tasks creating, rather than creating an individual task on each individual aspect that it failed on, you can create one task at the end of the inspection. It's again associated to the inspection and associated to the record. So a number of ways to capture the data that you're looking for and to make sure that the next preventative and corrective steps are taken. And it's as simple as that. Okay. So those are the main ones for the majority of users within the account. And what we're going to look at next is the toolbox, which is mostly for admins, but it is the bit that helps you to make the account much more your own and much more in line with your own processes. So we're going to start at the bottom with Tag Manager. From here, you can view all of your existing tags. You can edit them and you can delete them. You can set your own naming convention. Next, we've got State Manager. This allows you to create a new state. So I'm going to create a new state for stores. I'm going to select the icon tick, and I'm going to select the color green, and I'm going to say it's a positive state, and I'm going to create it. And it's as simple as that to create our stores state. Within Schedule Manager, there is a whole webinar, so please feel free to let us know if you'd like more information. It's as simple as we can create a schedule for an asset that needs more than one inspection type on there. So for instance, if an asset needs a daily inspection, but also a weekly or a monthly inspection, you can use Schedule Manager to do so. You can also assign checklists for that. Frequency Manager next. What we've now got within Papertrail is not only do you get your standard ones, but you can create your own frequencies, and these include timing. So we can set a frequency that reminds us every day at 9 o'clock. You can even do it by day, so every Monday at 9 o'clock. For this one, I'm going to say every day. I'm going to say I want to be notified an hour before. So I've got all of these options, and I'm going to say that even if it's inspected early, I want it to go from the next check date. Click Next. I'm going to choose the date I want this frequency to start. So I'm going to say Friday. Click Save Changes. That has now created my new frequency. Okay. Within Filter Manager, so because we now have our new state called Stores, I'm now going to create a new filter for my new state. So I'm going to click Add Filter, create Stores. I'm going to say it's the default state. Select filter type is State. Choose my state, which is there, Stores, tick my box. I can choose to add another filter type, but for this instance, I'm just going to click Save Changes. And then when I go back to my dashboard, I can now view that my Stores filter is available. If I just pop back into Filter Manager, the other thing I can do that is really useful is I can move my filters around. So for instance, if I don't want Lola overdue at the top and I want it next to my due, I can simply move it that way, click Dashboard, and it will now be back at the bottom of my list. I'm aware that we're getting close to time. I've slightly overrun. I'm really sorry. But I think pretty much that's everything. The only other thing to note, and it is a note, is that you can at any time access and add a note to a record instead of adding an inspection. So if you do pick up on something that's outside of the frequency, you can just simply add a note, needs repair for instance, click save, and that will appear in the activity on the right hand side. Okay, sorry I've rushed through that last bit. Are there questions?
I think we've got a couple in the chat, but yes, we'll also take anybody has now. Thank you for that, Vicky.
Filter by state. If for example, if I have 100 harnesses, some are missing, some are in quarantine, but I want to see at a glance how many harnesses are available to use. So I'm back in my harnesses folder, and at a glance I can see I've got one in monitor and one in quarantine. So to apply my filters, if I just click the filters option here and I click monitor, I can see at a glance I've just got the one in monitor. So not great when I've only got 12 in the folder to show you, but it really is useful if you've got a couple of 100 items in there that you just click into the folder itself, and then using that filtering tab there, you've got all of your filters in one place and you can just simply work through them.
Yeah, and they're the same filters that show up on your dashboard as well, aren't they, Vicky? So you can also...
Yeah. It was just you can actually dive into within a folder specifically.
Yeah,
so if you're in the folder already, you can use the filters option. But yeah, absolutely. And also being able to create your own filters. You can create a filter based on a tag as well, which is really useful. So if you wanted to be able to always see which filters had a certain I can't get my words out. Which items have a particular tag on, you can add that to your filters on your dashboard as well.
I think that filter manager was one of the big features that I found underutilized, because you can also combine different filters, whether you've got states and location, everything all in one place, and you can have those ready to click to apply to your folders when you're viewing records or on your dashboard. Really useful.
Yeah, absolutely. William's asked, is it possible to create a task without a deadline? I'm not sure. I don't think it is. And but I think you could.
You're not able to. Yeah.
Yeah, you could push the date out if it wasn't really relevant. And then obviously you could add a comment, date's not relevant. But it's just the way the system runs, because it's expecting most tasks to need to be done by a certain time to be able to prioritize the task.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've found from general audit tracking or task management software. Having a date gives you that impetus to actually get it done, whereas adding tasks without dates, you often find that they're never done. So I think that's part of the reason why we mandated picking a date on there. Yeah,
absolutely. I can't see any further questions in the chat. Does anybody else have anything to ask away now? Yes, absolutely. You can create your own filter, missing data while importing items. So if it's missing, as in, you mean it's missing, it's in the state of missing?
I'm thinking, William, is it maybe that something's been missed when you're doing the import, so a field hasn't been filled in, for example? So when you're looking for when a field would be null, essentially, I'm guessing is what you're meaning by that. So mandating serial. Okay, so yeah, so Vicky, I believe you can do it on a particular field. So I believe you can do. There might be one that we'll have to get back to you after this, and we'll send it out the answer to this question as part of our follow-up. But yeah, you can do a field comparison, and I believe we would be able to check for where it was empty. So let me do the follow-up on that before we to that
we'll response, check it and we will send you a little Loom video so that you can see how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good use of filters, though. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's the thing. I always say to people, Papertrail is as simple or as complex as you want it to be. And that means, the functionality is there for whatever range of data you need to pull from it, pretty much. And the other thing to take away is, as long as you know that Papertrail can do something, if you don't know how to do it, you have the support team here who can help you get to that point of knowing how to do what you need to do. The important bit is knowing that the functionality is available within the system that you've got.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Vicky. But yeah, if you have any follow-up questions after this, please just drop a reply to the email you originally got with the invite. But you'll see here there's a QR code on screen to join our next webinar, which is going to be all about checklist logic, which is our completely revamped version of Checklist Editor. It massively improves how you build and use checklists, and it's going to allow you to have logic and branching questions, So for example, if a certain response is given, take you to another section, take you to another question, perform a certain action. It's really going to help guide the inspection process and opens up a lot of new ways of using checklists. It'd be great to get as many of you signed up to this right now. So if you get your phones out, you can scan that QR code. It will take you to the sign up page. Really simple, just to fill in your details there. I'll be giving that demo. I think it's next month on the 24th. Is that right? I've got it on screen right there. Yeah, 24th of September. The other thing I wanted to say is please book a call with your account managers. I can also get involved with accounts. Really, a lot of my role is looking at how customers are using the system, making sure they're getting value out of it. We've got a few offers on at the moment, things like the staff competency module coming free of charge for the rest of your billing period, if that's something you're interested in testing out. And free account reviews, where again, we can go through your system, work out what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, what more you can get from the features that you're already paying for. So please do both of those things, scan that QR code and just drop us an email to your account manager.
Thanks for your time, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.